Hey there, Jonny May here, and welcome to this quick tip where I'm going to teach you how to play authentic Boogie Woogie piano. Now, if you want to play Boogie Woogie and you're not sure where to start, this is the lesson for you. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you one of my all-time favorite Boogie Woogie left-hand bass lines. I'll show you 3 of my favorite right-hand Boogie Woogie licks. And finally, at the end, I'm going to show you how to create an awesome Boogie Woogie solo and how to connect your different Boogie Woogie licks. All right, we're going to start with the Boogie Woogie bass line. And the Boogie Woogie bass is what drives the Boogie Woogie style. Meaning, when you hear this bass, right, it's going to drive the entire improvisation. So it's really important to lock down this bass line, and then you can start adding licks in the right hand. Now, there are different types of Boogie Woogie bass lines. For example, you have your traditional, what I call octave boogie bass line. You have your shuffle bass line. Okay, but my all-time favorite Boogie Woogie bass line sounds like this. Okay, it has a really driving pattern, and I like it more than the shuffle and the traditional octave bass line. So I'm going to teach you this Boogie Woogie bass line. It's actually not as hard to play as it sounds, so I'm going to break it down for you. So we're playing this in the key of C major, and the Boogie Woogie bass line sounds like this. I'm basically grabbing the C twice. I'm doing a tritone, E flat to A, gives it a really gritty sound, back to C, and then a third on the E and the G, C, back to the tritone, and then the G by itself. Okay, that's your essential Boogie Woogie bass line. And you really want to master this, so don't move to F, practice it on the C, and try to get really comfortable with this. And try repeating it, and gradually increase your speed. Now, you're also going to play this on an F chord, so you can play it like this. Okay, it's the same formula. Twice on the F, tritone interval, back to F, third on the A and C, back to F, tritone, and then the C by itself. Okay, you're also going to do this on a G, like this. Same formula. G twice, tritone, third, tritone, back to D. Make sense? All right, the final step to getting your Boogie Woogie bass line is to play these chords over the 12-bar blues. And the way you do this is you play it on the C 4 times. So we have once, twice, 3 times, and then 4 times. Okay, now, this is really important. The last time, instead of going to the G, you're going to pivot. And on the pivot, you're going to go C, and you're going to set up your F chord. Okay, so the C sets up the next chord, and now we have F. Make sense? And then we repeat it on the F. This is twice. Now, instead of going to the C, we're going to set up our next chord, which is a C chord, and the way we do that is by going to the 5 of that chord, which is the G. So here's the setup, or the pivot, and then we come to C. Make sense? Okay, really important. We're going to do this twice. Now, instead of hitting the G, we're going to go to a G7 chord. We're going to go to a new chord, so we're going to set that up with the D. So we have set up to the G, and then instead of going to the D, we're going to change chords. We're going to go to the F chord, so we're going to set it up with the C. You see that? And then finally, after here, we're going to set up our C chord. So we go to the 5th and set it up. Make sense? And then the final chord is a G chord. We need to set this chord up. So let's go to the D, and then we're there. And then if you want to repeat the whole form, you need to set up the 1 chord, the C chord. So we do the setup on the G, and we're back to the beginning. All right, let's try playing this Boogie Woogie bass line with the included backing track. And by the way, this lesson comes with 3 downloadable backing tracks at different tempos. You can also download and print the lesson sheet music, so I'll put a link to all of that below. We're gonna play this nice and slowly at 100 BPM so you can practice along, and then I'm gonna teach you my top 3 favorite Boogie Woogie right hand licks. Here's the Boogie Woogie bass line with the backing track. Here we go. And change to F. Here we go. You see that pivot note? Back to C. You're doing a great job. Now to the G. Back to G. By the way, if you want to learn more blues bass lines like this, check out our Rockin' Blues Bass Lines course. You'll learn 12 of my favorite blues and boogie woogie bass lines. We have a beginner to intermediate level course and an intermediate to advanced level course, so I'll put a link to that below. All right, in the next step, you're going to learn 3 of my all-time favorite boogie woogie licks. Here's what the first one sounds like. Okay, very classic boogie woogie lick and definitely one of my favorites. All right, so how do you play this lick? It's actually very simple. We're gonna start on the E and do this little chromatic motion. See that? And then little thirds, okay? So after we do the chromatic, we're gonna come up C and E, back down, B flat and D, and then we're gonna end like that, okay? That's basically the lick. And then we repeat it. And then we do it again, but we're gonna change it a little bit this time, okay? We're gonna do the same thing, and then do that same little part. And then one more time, and then the thirds down. Make sense? Okay? Then we're gonna do it on the F. Okay, and it's the same technique. Chromatic on the A, thirds on the top, bring it down, A, thirds, thirds. Make sense? And then we repeat this. And then back to the E on the bottom to match the C chord. And we do this again. And one more time. And then thirds down. Make sense? Finally, we're gonna do it on the G chord. Okay, we're starting on the B here. It's just chromatic, thirds up here, then B, thirds down, and then we're gonna do it on the A, and then thirds, same thing, and then back down to the E, repeat it, and one last time, and then thirds down. All right, let's go ahead and put our hands together. I'm gonna play it nice and slowly so you can see the exact rhythms. Here we go. 3, 4, 1. All right, boogie lick number 2 sounds amazing. Here's how it goes. Okay, very classic boogie lick. And it uses some really cool intervals, the tritone, which I mentioned earlier in the left hand, very characteristic of boogie woogie licks. So how does this lick go? Well, again, it's actually easier to play than it sounds. So I'm starting up high. I'm basically outlining what's called a C6 chord. I do a grab and a little roll down. Okay, and then here's the cool part. We're gonna go Okay, this is that tritone to a third. We're going to come down to C and then bring this down like that, and then finally E flat to E, and then 2 chord pops. And that's that C6, okay? That's your basic lick. So once more, we got the grab, the roll, the tritone to the third, bring it down, and then from the E flat to the E, and then 2 chord pops. That's it, okay? And this is gonna repeat. So we do the same thing, bring it down, same thing, and then 2 chord pops. Now when we get to our F chord, we're gonna change the lick slightly to match the chord. So we're gonna play it like this. Because we wanna have more of an E flat in the chord to match our F7 chord, okay? So for this one, we have the grab, and then we're gonna come down like before, except we're gonna change it. We're gonna put a D on the bottom, and then we have a little different. We have our tritone, but we're gonna take it down to match the chord. C, A, G, same as before. E flat, but it's gonna change here. We're gonna go G, and then chord, chord, okay? And the reason we're doing this is we're kind of trying to avoid the E, because it doesn't match the F7 chord, your little rub there, okay? So once more on this lick. Grab, roll, tritone, down, bring it down to E flat, and then 2 chord pops, okay? And then from here, we go back to our C chord, so we played what we did before. Bring it up, and down, and then E flat to E, chord pops, okay? For the final one, we're gonna do it like the F chord. So we have, bring it down, and then same thing. And the final one, we're gonna do it like the C chord. And then, bring it up, like that. Okay, here it is nice and slowly with the left hand. 3 and 4. By the way, if you're enjoying this lesson and you really want to go deeper on playing Boogie Woogie Piano, I recommend that you check out our course, Jonny's Jumpin' Boogie. This is our flagship course on playing Boogie Woogie Piano, where you learn essential Boogie Woogie left-hand patterns, how to use rolls, turns, tremolos, and punches, different riffs and licks. It is a ton of fun, and this course takes you from beginner all the way through advanced. So I'll put a link to that below. All right, boogie lick number 3 is also a classic one. Here's how it sounds. Okay, again, very hip sound, very authentic boogie woogie sound. For this lick, I'm doing a roll down a D minor chord. See that? You play it fast, and then we go up chromatically to E. You see that? And then we're gonna go up a C6 chord. Okay, so it's a C6, okay? So once more, the roll down, okay, and then up chromatically, and then outline the C6 chord. Okay, now from here, we're gonna do another roll down. See that? Down the D minor chord, and then chromatic, and then we end on that C6 chord coming up. That's the full lick. Makes sense? And then this is gonna repeat. Do the roll down, chromatic, C6, roll down, up chromatic, and end on the C. Okay? Now the third time, we're gonna change it a little bit to match our F7 chord. So the third time, we're gonna go like this. Okay, a little different. So we have the roll, up to E flat, but we're not going to go to the E. We're going to hold the E flat and then go G, A, G, C, roll down, okay, on the D minor, E flat, and then end G, A, C. Make sense? So we're doing this on the F chord, and then we do the roll down again to the C. So that's the same as the first time, okay? Now the last time through this lick, we're going to start by doing the roll down. We're going to go to the E flat. Same thing as before, come up to C, roll down, E flat, and we do the hold, and then G, A, C, and finally at the end, we do the roll down. We're going to come chromatically up to the E, G, A, G, C, roll down, again, and we end chromatically up to the C. All right, here it is, nice and slowly with the left hand. 3, 4. All right, welcome to the final step. You've learned your Boogie Woogie bass line. You've learned 3 of my favorite Boogie Woogie licks, but how do you take all of these elements and put together an awesome Boogie Woogie solo like this? Well, the trick here is to learn how to combine your licks. But you might be thinking, well, Johnny, I learned this lick and that lick. If I just play each lick, how do I make them sound like they're part of the same solo, meaning they sound connected to each other? Well, what I like to do here is I like to play my licks with my left hand, but I'll connect them with the blues scale. And if you don't know the blues scale, it's very simple. It's a 6-note scale starting on C. So if you play C, E flat, F, F sharp, G, and B flat, you have your blues scale, okay? It's a very simple scale, but the key here is that you're gonna use this as a connector between your licks, okay? So what I wanna do here is I wanna play a little example boogie improv for you to show you how you might do this, okay? And so for this boogie woogie improv, I'm gonna start with lick number 2, then I'm going to use lick number 1, and finally I'm going to use lick number 3, but in between those licks, I'll use the blues scale, okay? So here's what it sounds like. I'll play it for you, and then I'll break it down. So for this solo, I start with lick number 2. And I repeat it. Okay, and then here's where I use that blues scale. I do a little lead in line, and then on the F chord, I do like this. That's my connector. I'm just using the notes from the blues scale, doing a little turn, coming down the blues scale. Okay, and then from here I go to my blues lick number 1. Do you see how we connected blues lick number 2 to blues lick number 1? I add that little blues scale and it feels like it's part of the same solo. Then from here I go to blues lick number 3. And then from here, I'm going to go back to my C chord, but I'm going to change it back to the blues scale. Okay, all I'm doing here is after I do that roll, come up to the E, I come down on the blues scale, harmonize it, and then I do a little third technique here. It's just a chromatic technique, going into my G7 chord. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this lesson on Boogie Woogie Piano. If you did, please let us know in the comments. And by the way, if you have other topics that you'd like us to cover in these quick tips, please let us know in the comments. And lastly, be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have an amazing online learning program and community. So I'll see you in the next video.